His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq issues a royal decree. The Sultanate of Oman, during a speech before the United Nations General Assembly, affirms that dialogue is a consistent principle in its foreign policy and renews its call to resolve the Palestinian issue. The Sultanate of Oman and the United States of America signed two memoranda of understanding on geologic hydrogen. A tender is offered on the design and implementation of the infrastructure facilities for the Integrated Economic Zone in Al-Tahira Governorate. Those were the headlines. Now for the news in detail. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq issued Royal Decree number 67/2023 on ratifying agreement of air services between the government of the Sultanate of Oman and the government of the Republic of Belarus. Article 1 ratifies the aforementioned agreement according to the attached annex. Article 2, this decree shall be published in the official gazette and shall come into effect from the date of its issue. The Sultanate of Oman affirmed that dialogue is a consistent principle and a strong approach in its foreign policies. His Excellency Sayyid Badr bin Hamad Al Busaidi, Foreign Minister, said in a speech before the 78th session of the United Nations General Assembly in New York that the Sultanate of Oman affirmed that dialogue is an established principle and a strong approach in its foreign policies because of its effective impact on achieving reconciliation, harmony and peace among all conflicting parties. With regard to the Palestinian issue, the Sultanate of Oman affirmed that the Palestinian issue is at the forefront of long-standing issues that have been subjected to injustice for more than 70 years, and that the Palestinian people stand steadfast in the face of the brutal Israeli occupation, siege, abuse, and violation of international law and Security Council resolutions. His Excellency Sayyid Badr bin Hamad Al Busaidi, Foreign Minister, pointed out that the Oman Vision 2040 is the Sultanate of Oman's gateway to sustainable development, overcoming challenges, and keeping pace with regional and global changes. The Sultanate of Oman also stressed that the repercussions of surrounding the Russian-Ukrainian crisis and its security and military escalation, as well as the painful humanitarian effects, constitute a serious threat to global peace and the smooth flow of energy and food supply chains, and constitutes a serious challenge to international cooperation and the global order based on respect for the law and the Charter of the United Nations. The National Competitiveness Committee today discussed the data panel of the National Competitiveness Office, which constitutes an important project undertaken by the office to overcome challenges and save the efforts of national departments entrusted with improving Oman's international indicators. The committee also reviewed developments in global innovation indicators and environmental performance indices. The meeting also proposed the feasibility of including Oman in the World Competitiveness Book or Yearbook issued by the International Institute for Management Development. The World Competitiveness Yearbook is a comprehensive annual report and worldwide reference point on the competitiveness of countries. The meeting was chaired by His Excellency Dr. Saeed bin Mohammed Al-Saqri, Minister of Economy. The Ministry of Energy and Minerals, in cooperation with the U.S. Department of Energy, organized a technical workshop on geologic hydrogen. More details in the following report.
As part of the initiatives related to the strategic dialogue between the Sultanate of Oman and the United States of America, the Ministry of Energy and Minerals, in cooperation with the U.S. Department of Energy, organized a technical workshop on geological hydrogen, which aimed to discuss policies related to its exploration, encourage commercial and academic partnerships, as well as reviewing the latest developments in these aspects.
Oman is well known to be geologically very complex and diverse, and the country has had potential to produce oil and gas for decades. One of the potentials is what's so-called the geologic hydrogen, which is basically hydrogen that exists in the layers close to the surface or reservoirs deep in the subsurface, as well as the chemical reactions that happen between the rocks close to the surface and other resources to produce hydrogen. Oman has ophiolite, for instance, has the ophiolite, as well as it has loads of potential in geological formations. In the subsurface, the Earth Sciences Consultant Center has signed a memorandum of understanding with the Ministry of Energy and Minerals in this aspect to study the potential of geologic hydrogen across the country.
The workshop reviewed the opportunities, methods, and strategies related to exploring and extracting hydrogen, in addition to examining the phenomenon of naturally occurring hydrogen emissions in several regions around the world, including the Sultanate of Oman, especially in the Hajar Mountains.
The United States and Oman have a long history of friendship and cooperation together. And today I was very pleased to speak with a group of people about a new form of renewable energy that we could explore together. I'd like to thank the Omanis for their cooperation in putting this together.
On the sidelines of the workshop, the Sultanate of Oman signed 2 memorandums of understanding with the American company Eden Geopower and the Omani Geosciences Consulting Center in order to facilitate scientific discussions on conducting comprehensive preliminary studies to find out the potential and opportunities for exploring geological hydrogen and identifying sites to conduct experimental research in coordination with the Ministry of Energy and Minerals.
This workshop is focused on exploring the potential of geological hydrogen in Oman. This will open the door for new potential that we have not explored before. And today the MOUs we signed is to give the 2 entities, American entity and Omani entity, the possibility to do the necessary work in terms of research and exploring for the potential of geological hydrogen. Oman is aiming to be a leading player in the green hydrogen space, and for that to happen we need such activities in exploring the potential of geological hydrogen.
The Ministry of Energy and Minerals announced the opening of the field to submit research and experimental proposals in the field of geological hydrogen exploration in the Sultanate of Oman to interested parties. Abdullah bin Ahmed al-Rubi'i, Sultanate of Oman Television, Muscat.
The Public Authority for Special Economic Zones and Free Zones offered a tender for consulting services related to the design and supervision of the implementation of infrastructure facilities for the Integrated Economic Zone in Al-Dhahra Governorate for Omani and Saudi companies through the electronic system ISNAD. The infrastructure facilities for the first phase include road networks, electricity, water, wastewater, communications, gas, and industrial waste treatment, in addition to administrative and commercial buildings. On the advent of birthday anniversary of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, it has been decided that Thursday, the 12th of Rabi' al-Awwal, 1445 after Hijrah, corresponding to the 28th of September 2023, will be an official holiday for employees of units of the state's administrative apparatus and other legal entities and establishments of the private sector. The Ministry of Labor clarified that it is permissible to work on the aforementioned day if work necessity arises, provided that they compensate the workers in accordance with the applicable regulations. Still to come in our news bulletin. Omani-Tunisian Olive Forum is held in the wilaya of Al-Jabal Al-Akhdar. And in our international news, tropical storm Ophelia came ashore yesterday along the Atlantic coast, where it doused the region with torrential downpours and unrelenting winds that caused flooding and widespread power outages. Nearly 8 million people across the mid-Atlantic from New York to South Carolina were under tropical storm surge and flooding warnings as of midday yesterday, the National Weather Service said. After making landfall near Emerald Isle, North Carolina, around 6:15 a.m. local time, Ophelia was moving inland on a northerly path as it dumped heavy downpours and whipped strong winds in its wake. A batch of medical supplies departed from Shanghai in the early morning today as the Chinese government's 4.1 or 4.11 million US dollars humanitarian emergency aid to flood hit Libya. The essential supplies are being transported to Libya via a chartered flight and will be handed over to the Libyan Red Crescent, Benghazi, through the Chinese embassy in Libya. These supplies will aid the ongoing rescue efforts in the country. At the request of Libya, the supplies include tents, blankets, first aid kits, hand-pressured water treatment equipment, and portable color dropper ultrasound diagnostic equipment. The Municipal Council in the Governorate of Ad-Dakhiliya reviewed a number of topics related to the development and services which focused on housing, health, municipal services and education. The meeting focused on the topic of stray animals and advised the owners of such animals to keep them away from public places and roads. It also discussed the recommendation regarding an awareness program on combating drugs and narcotics. The Council further reviewed a proposal for specifying places for winter camping in accordance with the legal framework, especially in the wilayas of Al-Jabal Al-Akhdar and Al-Hamra. The meeting was chaired by His Excellency Sheikh Hilal bin Saeed Al-Hajri, Governor of Ad-Dakhiliya. The National Zero Neutrality Program continues working with the aim of following up and implementing the national strategy for an orderly transition to net zero neutrality with a wide participation from various states' administrative apparatus units, the private sector, academics, and experts. The program seeks to create a unified implementation plan. In its fourth week, the program discussed plans for the oil and gas sector, which represent 26% of the greenhouse gas emissions in the Sultanate of Oman. The Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Water Resources, in a cooperation with the Embassy of the Republic of Tunisia in the Sultanate of Oman, held the Omani-Tunisian Olive Forum in the Wilaya of Al-Jabal Al-Akhdar. The event was presided over by His Excellency Sheikh Hilal bin Saeed Al-Hajri, Governor of Ad-Dakhiliya. More details in the following report.
Reinforcing the great importance of cultivating various types of olive trees and the production of olive oil in particular, due to its significant economic and health values for both individuals and communities at large, and in view of the suitable natural and climate conditions for the cultivation of olive trees in the Sultanate of Oman, especially in the Wilaya of Al-Jabal Al-Akhdar. The Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Water Resources, in cooperation with the Embassy of the Republic of Tunisia in the Sultanate of Oman, held the Omani-Tunisian Olive Tree Forum in the Wilaya of Al-Jabal Al-Akhdar in Ad-Dakhiliya Governorate. At the forum, the Omani and Tunisian sites presented some successful experiments pertaining to olive cultivation and olive oil production, means of developing promotion and marketing strategies, conducting scientific research to contribute to the development of the oil cultivation industry, and the most prominent challenges affecting the olive oil production process were highlighted at the event. The Omani and Tunisian sites showcased different olive oil products and related derivatives at the accompanying exhibition, in addition to the latest technologies and equipment used in the production and marketing process of olive oil. The forum endeavored to explore investment opportunities in cultivating various types of olive trees and enhance cooperation in the olive oil industry. From the Wilaya of Al-Jabal Al-Akhdar, Salih Bakhalfan Al-Rahbi, Al-Dakhiliya Governorate.
Today, a workshop began on implementing the National Surveillance Strategy for Disease Vectors. Over the course of its 5 days, the workshop reviews various topics, including the National Surveillance Strategy for Disease Vectors, the distribution of surveillance units, data entry applications, data extraction and analysis, merging epidemiological data with entomological data, and the stratified distribution of risk levels. The ongoing of the workshop was held under the patronage of His Excellency Dr. Saeed bin Harib Al-Lemki, Undersecretary of Ministry of Health for Health Affairs. The branch of Oman Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Al-Dhahira Governorate hosted the third introductory meeting on the public offering of shares of OQ Gas Networks Company. The meetings aim to introduce investors, citizens and residents to the system of subscription to the offered shares and the target groups, as OQ Gas Networks intends to offer up to 49% of its shares, which provides an opportunity for investors to participate in the company's growth. This is the Sultanate of Oman Television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main headlines once again. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq issues a royal decree. The Sultanate of Oman, during a speech before the United Nations General Assembly, affirms that dialogue is a consistent principle in its foreign policy and renews its call to resolve the Palestinian issue. The Sultanate of Oman and the United States of America signed 2 memoranda of understanding on geologic hydrogen. And a tender is offered on the design and implementation of the infrastructure facilities for the integrated economic zone in Al-Dhahira Governorate. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, it's good night and stay safe.